From the Opopco Studios in Oklahoma City, this is a Hudiburg Fantasy Football Update. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Mike Baldwin. We're brought to you by Hudiburg. You can go online during the NFL action and get your next new car at Hudiburg.com. Okay, Mike, playoffs are in full swing for fantasy owners, and for the most part, fantasy owners are in their playoffs. Guys that you may want to stay away from, some fool's gold. Who's out there in that category?
Well, people in fantasy ball are famous for, let's go look at the box scores, let's go online, look at the newspaper, let's see how they did yesterday. Well, if you just see their numbers, you're like, wow, I got to either get this guy or I got to start him next week. And if you're in the playoff format or trying to charge to the top of your league late in the season, I think they're full gold. First one's Cordell Patterson, the first-round pick for the Vikings, played very well off and on this season. He has a monster game. Well, guess what? Half of those 150 yards was that one at the end of the game where he crossed the 75 yards in the snow. The snow was a variable in a lot of games yesterday. I just don't see him doing that week after week in that offense, even though Adrian Peterson being out, maybe they throw a little bit more. I doubt it. You got Antonio Brown, who's usually a start on the Steelers, but he had a monster day, and he is not the kind of guy that's going to put up those numbers. Hakeem Nicks is a guy that we talked about, 0 touchdowns, remember, after 18 the previous 2 years. Well, guess what? All of a sudden he busts out for 5 for 135 against the Chargers. They're playing catch-up. They played the Seattle defense this week. I would avoid him like the plague. Hunter, the first-round pick for the Titans, the wide receiver that never showed up all year, he showed up yesterday. I think that was a little bit of a fluke. And then Reese, who filled in for Rashad Jennings on the Raiders. The bottom line is whoever the Raiders' starting running back is, that's who you go with. Rashad Jennings or Reese, whoever it is, because McFadden's not the option.
All right, there is one guy, though, that you say stick with him, that the fool's gold does not apply to him.
And that's Zach Stacy on the Rams. He's been pretty consistent. They held him down. They got behind the Cardinals on Sunday. They had to pass the ball a little more than they wanted to. He still had a touchdown, saved your day, but he only had 14 carries, 25 yards. You look in the newspaper and you go, oh my goodness, that's terrible. He could be back to 80, 90 yards again next week. Stay with him.
All right, we're going to use a little baseball analogy on this next one. Pinch hitters. Who are some pinch hitters this week?
Well, it looks like Adrian Peterson luckily may have avoided a season-ending injury, but it's a really bad sprained foot. He wants to win a rushing title. Knowing AD, he may try to get out there, but if he can't go, and they'll announce some point in the week, guess what? Tony Gerhart, the old Stanford boy, looked pretty good filling in for him yesterday, and they may try to lean on him like they did. So if AD's out, Gerhart, I guarantee he's on your waiver wire, and you got a playoff, oh my goodness, on short running backs, go get him and start him. But if AD's out, and the other one is Joe-K Bell, filled in for Bush in Detroit. He had a pretty good game, but if Bush is back, then you sit him. If not, you may be playing. Maybe
they should play in the snow all the time.
Right.
Maybe Bell, maybe that's what he's made for. All right, lastly, with the playoffs, sometimes people are trying to catch that lightning in a bottle. Are there a couple of guys you can point people towards?
Last week I said if you're the underdog and want to hit a home run, go with our old boy Bobby Rainey. Guess what? Start him in both leagues. I was happy, over 100 yards, a touchdown. The guy this week that's probably under the radar, maybe put back on the waiver wire, is still there, Nate Burleson, the veteran wide receiver who had the broken arm, remember, early in the season. Guess what? They're coming off a loss. They really need a win. They're playing the Ravens at home on Monday night in the Dome. Weather won't be a factor. Right. And they'll be double and triple teaming Megatron. You know the Ravens will. This is a guy that could go from 2 catches all of a sudden up to 7 for 100 and some. It's taking a chance, but there's an outside chance it may pay off for you next Monday night.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Sure, stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.